EPA Administrator Lee Zeldin announcing his agency is officially rescinding President Obama's endangerment finding declaration under the Clean Air Act. This 2009 legislation was designed as a regulatory framework to control greenhouse gas emissions. Then President Obama made the case that human emissions of carbon dioxide, methane, and other greenhouse gases are a threat to human health. Well, it became a very expensive situation under this. Joining me now, the man himself, EPA Administrator Lee Zeldin. Hey, Lee, good morning.
It's great to be with you.
Oh, so you're getting a lot of praise for this. The Wall Street Journal editorial board writes, this is Climate Regulation Liberation Day. And they say this, they talk about how this ended up becoming such an expensive, when it came to gas prices, hit to the American consumer. And you're saying today, no more.
I feel like the Supreme Court clipped the wings of agencies like the EPA in recent decisions like Loper-Bright overturning the Chevron doctrine. As it relates to EPA, there were additional Supreme Court cases, West Virginia versus EPA, Michigan versus EPA, and elsewhere, saying that where there's language that is vague inside of a congressional statute, in this case we're talking about Section 202 of the Clean Air Act, the EPA can't just fill in those gaps however they creatively want to and then use that creative interpretation to then inflict trillions of dollars worth of economic pain on the American people. What the Supreme Court ruled in Loper-Bright is that agencies cannot do that. And the major policy doctrine also says that in a case like this where there's trillions of dollars worth of regulations, that also is a matter that should not be determined by agencies unilaterally. So we're living in a different dynamic right now in 2025, post all these Supreme Court decisions. And I believe that that if Congress and the American people want an electric vehicle mandate, if they want trillions of dollars of regulations, if they want to regulate out of existence sectors of our economy like coal and so much more, then that's something that the American public should be voting on, that Congress should be debating and voting on, and that should be part of statute, not for some bureaucrat in Washington. Well,
to be clear, just to kind of simplify this for the viewer out there, I mean, it got out of control. Telling people what kind of lawnmower they could buy, for example, Lee. And so it just went too far. And so I talked about gas prices, but it was other things as well, you know, that was the American public, the consumer, was hit with.
Yeah, and your point, which is it's so key, the consumer choice dynamic. You know, we often get asked when we're critical of the electric vehicle mandate as if we want to say that you're not allowed to have electric vehicles. That is not at all what any of us are saying. You should be able to get whatever type of car you want, whatever type of lawnmower you want, and to the example that you just pointed out. Part of this proposed rule, beyond just rescinding the endangerment finding, it's also a proposal to eliminate a lot of greenhouse gas emission rules that followed as it relates to mobile sources or vehicles, and then also to get rid of the off-cycle credit, the incentive that led to car manufacturers putting that much-hated start-stop feature. And I have found that when I have leaned into certain issues that might seem too small to even mention, like getting gas cans to pour faster, when President Trump is talking about showerhead valves, water flows, when you talk about these quality of life issues, refrigerants, and so much more, it is important for us to not just be tackling the big things, but also to be tackling the small things. And to your question, Cheryl, your point, to be fighting for protecting consumer choice.
Yeah, absolutely. This is quite a day for you. So congratulations. I want to get your take on something else. There are new questions for former Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg after he reportedly ignored safety protocols by building windmills near critical infrastructure. And this kind of flows into the EPA, so bear with me. The New York Post reported that at least 33 safety recommendations to place wind turbines well clear of the critical infrastructure were overruled in 2023 and 2024. According to a current department official, permitting the projects to be built close enough to possibly interfere with vital radio communications. This isn't just about, I mean, the windmill story is one thing. You've dealt with this, obviously, in New York State and the Northeast in general. But it's the fact that they were ignoring safety and maybe regulatory rules under the previous EPA, under President Biden, to get these windmills built. What's your reaction to that?
I have seen so many examples of where in this windmill conversation, the left just hasn't been honest in talking about the safety concerns, the environmental impacts, the economic costs. President Trump has been very crystal clear and consistent with his view on all of this. What we're reading about what happened during the Biden administration obviously wouldn't have ever happened under a President Trump administration. These new stories that are coming out, we've seen concern expressed by the Secretary of Transportation, Sean Duffy. The Department of Interior is being well led by Doug Burgum. Many agencies have been leaning into this, where we want to be honest on economic impact, honest on environmental impact. We want to talk about these safety concerns and not hide from all of it because we're afraid to confront climate zealots who just want to see more and more wind as if it is a substitute for baseload power, which clearly it is not.
Well, I mean, President Trump was just in Scotland, and he called windmills ugly. But it goes far beyond that, which you and I have talked about in the past, about they can be actually environmentally destructive, even though they're supposed to be, clean power. So anyway, a lot of questions about, we're going to have to see where this all goes. Lee Zeldin, it's great to see you again. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Thanks, Cheryl.